students, welcome back to the class once again. So in the previous class we started a chapter on Vedic age, and there we discussed about the origin of the Aryans and some of the sources related with the political conditions, social conditions we discussed, and all the four Vedas and the epics we also discuss in that. So today we'll be discussing, today I'll try to make a clear differences between the early Vedic age and the later Vedic age with the particular topics. Like today first topic we'll discuss is political organization of both the early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. So both the comparison we'll do side by side. So please listen to me properly, and those students, those who have not watched the previous video of this chapter, the link of that video is given in description box. Watch that first and then you watch this video. Now first of all, let me tell you about the Vedas. Altogether 4 Vedas are there, and which are the Vedas written in the early Vedic period and which are the Vedas written in the later Vedic period. So only one Veda is there, Ved is there, which was written in the early Vedic period, that is Rig Ved. Rig Ved was written in the early Vedic period, and rest of the 3 Vedas like Sam Ved, Yajur Ved and Atharva Ved, they were written in the later Vedic period. Okay, and along with them Brahmanas were there, Upanishads were there, Aryankas were there, Vegans were there, Sutras were there, epics were there. All those were written during the later Vedic period. So now first of all, the political organization. So king definitely was there. King was the head. King was the head of the Aryans, and the king was elected. King was elected by his tribe. King was elected by his tribe, and the position which was given to him was not hereditary. So whenever the king was elected, it was elected by the people of his tribe, and the king did not possess hereditary right. That means after a king, his son cannot become the king. And apart from king, there were 2 organizations, we can say, that assemblies, Sabha and Samiti. Sabha and Samiti. We call it Sabha and Samiti. So Sabha and Samiti acted as a check on the king's power. These 2 bodies were the one which acted on the checks on the king's power. That means king cannot become arbitrarily. So king was checked by Sabha and Samiti. Okay, Sabha and Samiti checked on the powers of the king. Okay, his position was not ritualized. The king's position was not at all ritualized, and from time to time, king received voluntarily gifts. King received voluntarily gifts like Bali from his tribesmen. His tribesmen, they used to give him Bali. Okay, so this is all about early Vedic period. In the early Vedic age, early Vedic period, king was chosen by his tribe, and king was controlled. That means king's power was checked by Sabha and Samiti. Now what about in the later Vedic period? Now in the later Vedic period, we found that the king assumed the hereditary power. That means it became associated with territory. That means that territory in which he ruled became his territory, and his position also became hereditary, which was not there in the early Vedic period. Sabha and Samiti lost its importance. Sabha and Samiti lost their importance. Number of rituals, sacrifices were conducted. Okay, number of rituals and sacrifices were conducted to strengthen the position and power of the king. Okay, before the tribesmen gave king Bali, okay, but now it was made mandatory. King started collecting revenue from the people through his officials appointed by him. So both these are the differences of the political organization. Next one, let us talk about the society. Let us talk about society. Political organization, very, very simple. The next one is society. Society of the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. So very, very simple. First of all, we'll discuss about the family. Family. Okay, family. So the basic unit of the society was patriarchal in nature. Patriarchal in nature means the male member was the head of the family. Okay, and it was a joint family. It was a joint family. Male member of the family was the head of the family, and it was a joint family in the early Vedic period. Okay, let me make it more clear. So this way I am going to make you understand family. What type of family was there in early Vedic period and in the later Vedic period. So in the early Vedic period, basic unit of the society was a family which was patriarchal in nature, in which male member was the head of the family. Okay, but in the later Vedic period, what we saw was that it became more and more patriarchal. Leniency was there in the early Vedic period, but in the later Vedic period, it became more and more patriarchal in nature, and the status of father had increased. The power and the status of father had increased a lot in the later Vedic period. Okay. Now, what was the position of women? What was the position of women in both the periods? So you can see that in the later Vedic period, in the early Vedic period, equal rights. Okay, that means they were given equal. That means women were treated equally. They were given equal status. Okay, they participated in assemblies. Women participated in assemblies. Widow remarriage was allowed. Okay, they participated in assemblies. Widows were allowed to remarry, okay, and they were also allowed to receive education. So once again, one more thing, the position of women was equal to men. Equal status was given to them. Number one, they could participate in assemblies, okay, and number two, they could remarry. That means widows can remarry, and the third one, they also receive education. That means equal status. Women was given equal status. Now what about in the later Vedic period? What was the position of women? The position of women declined. That means the position of women declined. The position which was there in the early Vedic period was they were given equal status. But the same thing declined in the later Vedic period. It completely declined. They were considered as a source of misery. Women were considered as a source of misery. Were not allowed to participate in assemblies or yajnas. Widow remarriage was looked down upon. Widow remarriage was not at all allowed. So widow remarriage was allowed here, but here widow remarriage was looked down upon. They were not allowed to remarry again. Educations were given to fewer women. Educations were given here. They received equal education, but here in the later Vedic period, only few got education. Only fewer women got education. Okay, next one, caste system. What was the caste system like? Caste system. Caste system in the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. So caste system, let me tell you, it was not rigid. Caste system was not rigid. Caste system was not rigid. So obviously you might be thinking caste system became rigid in the later period. It's correct. It became rigid. So caste system was not rigid, but in the later Vedic period, caste system became very, very rigid. Okay. Next one. It is given that fourfold division was made primarily on the basis of occupation. Fourfold division, like according to the work performed by the people, there was a division in the early Vedic period, like Brahmanas were there, Kshatriyas were there, Vaishyas were there, Shudras were there. Brahmans performed religious rites and all. Kshatriyas protected the kingdom and all. They were warriors and fighters. And the third one was Vaishyas. They were businessmen, traders, merchants and all. And the last one was Shudras. Okay, they served the upper three classes. That type of caste system was there in the early Vedic period. Okay. Then next it is there, what type of caste system was there in the later Vedic period? It is mentioned that caste system, it continued, it became more and more rigid. Okay. But in the later Vedic period, 4 ashrams developed. 4 ashrams developed. Okay. So let me tell you about the 4 ashrams in the next page. So once again, so I have made it this way. So in the early Vedic period, caste system was like this. There are 4 divisions of the society. The first one was Brahmins, second one Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. Brahmins, they were related to religious rites and all. They look after the temples and all. They perform religious rites and all. And Kshatriyas were the one who were they had to perform, like they had to protect the kingdom. They were warriors, they were fighters. Okay, and they were the one to help and protect the king and the kingdom. And next one is Vaishyas. They included merchants, traders, businessmen and all. Okay, they were included over here in this third caste. And the last one was the Sudras. They were the one who served the upper 3 castes. Sudras were the one who served the upper 3 castes. Okay, and on the other side, later Vedic period, like we can say that 4 ashrams were there. 4 ashrams were there. First one was a Brahmacharya, next one Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Okay, like sannyas. Okay, so Brahmacharya was performed till the age of 25, and during this age from till 25, the pupil, we can say that they followed a very strict discipline. They went to the Gurukuls, okay, and there they obtained knowledge and they got all the information and educations which helped them to lead their life in their coming years from the gurus. So they studied in the Gurukul. So till the age of 25, they lived with the gurus in the Gurukul. And next one, after 25 to 50, after completing the education and all, after gaining all the knowledge and all, they now will enter into Grihastha. So where they were definitely they were to lead a family life, where they'll get married. Okay, they'll have a family life and all. Okay, they'll marry, they raise the family. Okay, they will look after the household activities and all. They take all the responsibility of maintaining the family properly, and this will continue up to 50 years. So from 25 to 30, they will be indulged in a family life with a lot of responsibilities, raising the family together. Then after 50 to 75, Vanaprastha. That means they'll go to the jungle. So simply it doesn't mean they go to jungle without any motive. But the main intention of going to Ban means forest, Vanaprastha, prasthan towards the Ban, was to attain philosophical and spiritual knowledge. Philosophical and spiritual knowledge. And they that means we can say that they retire from the worldly life. They retire from the family life, they retire from the worldly life, and they go to the forest, or we can say they prasthan towards the Ban. Ban means forest, and there they'll live up to 75 years, where they'll try to achieve philosophy as well as philosophical as well as spiritual knowledge. After attaining philosophical and spiritual knowledge, once again, what they'll do is that they'll now completely lead a life of a sannyasi, in which the Aryan man, so altogether they were the Aryan man. Okay, so during this period of renunciation, he had to leave everything. He had to leave. Already they had left the Grihastha and all. They had gone toward the forest and all. After attaining philosophical and spiritual knowledge, now they have to renounce the worldly pleasure once again. And leaving everything, they had to meditate to attain salvation or moksha. In order to attain salvation or moksha, they had to become a sannyasi, and they had to lead a sannyasi life. This was the 4 ashrams: Brahmacharya ashrams, okay, Grihastha ashram, okay, and then Vanaprastha ashram and Sannyasa ashram. So this is all about the 4 ashrams of a later Vedic period, which was not there in the early Vedic period. So in the early Vedic period, only the division of the caste was there, and the later Vedic period, so this type of ashrams were also started. Okay, same way we even today also we start till the age of 25. We go for our to attend knowledges in the colleges and universities. After that we are married, we raise our family, we have a family life and all. And after that, many other people, they don't leave and go to the bun, but still they retire from the worldly life. And some of the people, in order to attain salvation, they become greatest devotee of God and goddesses and all. They start preaching the religions to other people also. So that we do in the modern times. So next one. Now next one is food. Food. So what type of food they used to eat? Like in the early Vedic period and later Vedic period, we can say that in the early Vedic period, they in the food items. Let me tell you, the food items in the early Vedic period included barley, milk, vegetables, fruits, rice, and meat. Okay, once again, barley, milk, vegetable, fruits, rice, and meat. And in the later Vedic period, okay, let me write you barley. Okay, barley was there, milk was there, vegetable, fruits, rice, and meat. Okay, these were the food items which they had during the early Vedic period. And in the later Vedic period, everything was same, but the consumption of meat was reduced. Simple, everything was same: barley, meal, vegetable, fruit, rice, and meat. But in the later Vedic period, the consumption of meat was reduced. Okay, so this is all about the food items they had during the early Vedic period and a later Vedic period. So in the field of economy, again we'll make a comparison or differences, whatever economy was there in the early Vedic period and in the later Vedic period. Okay, so on the basis of economy, let us try to understand. In the later Vedic period, in the early Vedic period, the primary occupation of the early Vedic period was completely based on cattle rearing. Okay, so they mostly, the primary occupation of cattle rearing was an important source of wealth for the early Vedic period. Okay, and in the later Vedic period, this cattle rearing continued. Okay, so cattle rearing was the most important occupation of the early Vedic period, which continued in the later Vedic period also. Okay, so apart from pastoral, now we have agriculture. So agriculture, this one is pastoral. Okay, next one is agriculture. So definitely it was known, and agriculture was also known to the early Vedic period. Okay, along with the domestication of animal was also done. They knew about agriculture, and along with agriculture they also knew about domesticating animals. Okay, and it continued in the later Vedic period, and agriculture became one of the most important source of economy. In the later Vedic period, agriculture became the most important source of economy, and large tracts of forests were cleared. Okay, and their agriculture was done. Okay, and the most important source of wealth was the land. So agriculture was known to the early Vedic period, but later on it became more and more wide. Okay, forests were large areas of forests were cleared, and land became the most important source of wealth. Okay, so apart from all this, now trade. So what about the trade? In the early Vedic period, barter system prevailed. Barter system. Barter system means suppose I grow rice and the other farmer grew vegetables. So we'll exchange. I'll give rice to them and they will give me vegetables to me. So this way we managed in the early Vedic period. So barter system was there. So there was no proper transaction done with the help of money and all, like paper currency or coins were not there. Okay, barter system prevailed and was carried out in terms of bullocks and horses. Okay, many people were engaged in commerce and trade also. Many of the people were also engaged in trade and commerce of that time. And this system again, the trade, the same barter system. Okay, so barter system continued. Barter system continued in the later Vedic period also. Okay, and in the later Vedic period, currency like silver coins, currencies and silver coins were used as a medium of exchange. Currency started to be used. Okay, silver coins were used as a means of exchange. Foreign trade also became very, very expensive. Okay, expensive, extensive. The foreign trade also started to expand its territories. Okay, Vaishyas were also the one who were involved. So Vaishyas were the only one who were involved in trade and commerce. So they were merchants and traders and all. Vaishyas carried on with the trade and commerce as per their caste. On the basis of that business, trade and trading terms, they were termed as Vaishyas. Vyapsa we call it, right? So this is all about trade. Extensive trade was continued in the later Vedic period. Barter system continued. Okay, but in the later Vedic period, medium exchange was also introduced in the form of silver coins. Other economic activities included like hunting in the early Vedic period, hunting, carpentry, tanning, pottery, weaving, chariot making, fishery, embroidery, okay, dyeing, weaving, etc. were also known to them. So these were known to them. Hunting, carpentry, tanning, pottery, weaving, chariot making, fishery, embroidery, dyeing, weaving, etc. were also known to them. And in the later Vedic period also, same thing continued, but a few more were added like metal work, leather work, jewelry making, okay, carpentry, pottery made great progress in the later Vedic period. So this is all about the economy. This is all about the economy of the Vedic age, which we differentiated between early Vedic period and later Vedic period. So it was the initial phase and that was the extended phase of the early Vedic period, transitional phase from early Vedic to the later Vedic period. Now, the next one we'll discuss about here is religion. So now we'll discuss on religion. So was there any religion in the early Vedic period? Of course, religion was there, because when we discuss about Rig Veda and all, so I mentioned that Veds were hymns sung in order to praise God and goddesses. So definitely religion was one of the most important activity in their spiritual life. Okay, so worship. Now, which all the gods and goddesses were worshipped by the early Aryans, early Vedic period, people of early Vedic period and later Vedic period? So they worshipped natural forces. In the early Vedic period, they worshipped natural forces of male gods, natural forces as a male god, like Agni, fire god, okay, Indra, rain god, Pusan was there, Surya was there, female goddesses were also there. Female goddesses were also there, like Aditi and Usa were also worshipped. Okay, so they worshipped in the early Vedic period. They worshipped gods like we can say that gods like Agni. Okay, then Indra. Number 3. Number 4, Surya. Okay, so these were the male gods, and apart from the male gods, they also worshipped goddesses. So number one we can say Aditi. Okay. Then even Usha. Okay, these were the female goddesses, Aditi and Usha. Okay, and in the later Vedic period, again the same continuation was there. Few changes we saw, like Indra and Agni. Indra and Agni lost their importance. In the later Vedic period, Indra and Agni lost their importance. Vishnu and Rudra became prominent. So Vishnu and Rudra. So Vishnu and Rudra, they became prominent. Vishnu and Rudra became prominent. Okay, so these were the gods and goddesses worshipped by the early Vedic people and the later Vedic people. Now, chief mode of worship. So, chief mode of worship. So, let me tell you, gods and goddesses. Okay, so how they worshipped. Okay, so let me tell you mode of worship. So, see mode of worship. How did they worship? How did they worship in the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period? So, in the early Vedic period, the mode of worship like chanting of prayers and animal sacrifices were common. Chanting of prayers. Okay, chanting of prayers and animal sacrifices were there. So, in order to please God, animal sacrifices were also performed. Okay, and in the later Vedic period, animal sacrifices increased. Okay, so this animal sacrifices increased. Animal sacrifices increased in the later Vedic period. Okay, and one more changes we saw during the later Vedic period was priesthood became prominent. Okay, I always miss this point. Priesthood became prominent. So, animal sacrifices increased. Okay, and priesthood became prominent. So, a class of priests emerged. They were the one who performed and guided the people to do or perform proper rituals. Okay, mostly the common people, they depend upon the priest only to perform the rituals, so they did it. Okay, so this is all about from this chapter. So we discussed in this chapter the origin, homeland of the Aryans, then the sources like the four Vedas, epics, Brahmanas, Upanishads, okay, Aryankas, that we discussed. Then we discussed about the Vedic culture, tradition, and we compared the political organization, society, what type of society was like during the early Vedic period and later Vedic period, and economy also we differentiated the economy of early Vedic period, later Vedic period. Okay, so this was a changing phase when people were moving from early Vedic period to the later Vedic period. So definitely when you move forward, some changes definitely will be visible, and we saw during the later Vedic period. So early Vedic period came and settled in the Sapta Sindhu region, and slowly and gradually when population increased, they moved towards the interior part of India. So it has been said that the early Aryans, they had come from Central Asia. That theory is widely accepted and accepted by the scholars, and that we too study also, and they spread to different parts of the world like Asia, Europe, and all. So this is all about from this chapter, the Vedic age. Okay, So Vedic age, we have ended this chapter. Now we have to do some question answers that I'll give you in the link in the description box. From there you can do it, go through it, okay? And please go through the video again and again. So the previous video, as I told you in the beginning of this video only, the link to the previous video I'll be giving in the description, so you can watch it, those who had missed that one, and then continue with this video, okay? And in the next class we will start with the next chapter, that is Jainism and Buddhism. So that will be our next chapter from history, Jainism and Buddhism. Okay, so till then, you please take care of yourself. Okay, stay home, stay safe, and take care. Bye bye.